We're going to go Vanderbilt.
Oh,
Vanderbilt last season, the best season that they ever had in school history. They went 10-2 last
good
year.
job, Tennessee.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? They went 10-2 last season, missed out on the college football playoffs. Diego Pavia ended up getting drafted, which, by the way, he got cut from the Ravens. So he is now looking for he's looking for a car dealership to work at now. But anyway, sorry about that, Vanderbilt fans. Not really, but no, Vanderbilt new quarterback this year. Eli Stowers in the NFL. They still got Cedric Alexander at running back. Offensive line is a little bit of a question mark there. And what's the defense going to look like this year? Skylar, you want to go first on Vanderbilt? Or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll go first. But do you agree with Clark Lee just not outright naming the 5-star stud quarterback that they were able to steal from Georgia as the starter? How in the world is this even a question?
When I got to thinking about it,
it needs to be the miniature WWE, right? I'm sorry, I'm short. I shouldn't even make that joke. That was crazy. Like me and Diego are like the exact same time.
True.
Okay,
anyway.
All right. See, this is whatever. It's fine.
But no, when I got to thinking about it, with how bad potentially the offensive line could be for Vanderbilt this year, maybe they don't want him to go out there and just get absolutely, beat up,
right.
Possibly injured, by the middle of the season.
That's fair.
Something that could hinder his career later on. But then again, do you want to do that to whoever the other quarterback is at this point? I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like Faison and George as far as, George has the experience. But if Faison gives you a better chance to win ball games, don't you go there? If Jared Curtis gives you a better chance to win the ball game for Vanderbilt, don't you go there instead? I don't know. I kind of see it both ways.
I don't know, man. People saying that George should be the starter this year solely because he's got a year in the system and that's experience, to me, is bull hockey. In my opinion, the experience that George has does not equate to game time experience. The man played like 16 snaps, if that, last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think that really equates to automatic starter. Now, if George McIntyre earns it and takes the job, absolutely. But to sit here and just say on paper, GMAC starter because he's been in the system a year, I don't think that matters that much. So I think if the young true freshman quarterback can come in the system in the spring, and he needs to be confident, but not cocky in the sense of he feels like it's his job. He doesn't have to work as hard, or he's getting paid so much, so he's entitled to the start. That is the attitude that can go on somewhere. But I don't know. Maybe it's a thing where Clark Lee's trying to get him to earn the trust of his team and take that job.
That as well.
Yep. So without further ado, I'll do what we're supposed to do in here and just predict the games here. Vanderbilt starts the season. I think they start the season 3 straight wins. So let me go ahead, and I got to change my thing here. So we're going to go right off the bat, 3 straight wins against Austin P, Delaware, and NC State. NC State, the last I know about them, we throttled them a couple years ago when they had McCall, and they had that really fast wide receiver that ended up transferring to A&M last year.
KC Concepcion.
That guy. NC State, just to me, I don't know what they've done since then. And it seems like any good talent they get transfers out. I can't imagine them really putting up a fight with Vanderbilt. However, Vanderbilt goes on the road to Auburn, and I think this is like an ultimate trap game for them because I think Auburn is going to be a solid team. And I think Vanderbilt may think that they've got the win just solely because they're going up against a team with a first-year head coach. And it's the first SEC game of the year. But I don't think they get it done. I think they actually drop to Auburn, and that is also me kind of just following the Auburn. If you follow my Auburn prediction last week, I'm going to stay loyal to that as well. They then follow that up, and it's a tough stretch to start the SEC, but they go at Georgia, and that's also a tough loss. I'm pretty high on Georgia this year. I think Gunnar Stockton has me persuaded that they can pretty much do anything that they please. Yeah. Their defense has question marks, but they did return a lot, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But with that being said, Vanderbilt will start the SEC slate 0-2. But I do believe they actually beat Ole Miss. So this will be kind of like their, oh, wow, they get that win. Yes, I do think at home they beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss and Vanderbilt kind of go way back. It's kind of a good, historically, it's been a great game for the most part. So I like Vanderbilt in this one. Arkansas, I do believe Arkansas will they'll get a win over Arkansas, so they'll rebound nicely to get back to 2-2 before playing Kentucky. And I think Kentucky will also drop to Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt really on a roll here to finish out the month of October pretty solid. They start the season, the first 2 months, they go 6-2 in my prediction. They go to Mississippi State. I think this is just a bad matchup. I don't like that it's on the road. I really like Jeff Lebby, and I think Jeff Lebby's got to get some wins somewhere this year. I think this is one of his best chances to get that win. Because if you looked at Mississippi State's schedule, it's not too easy. So I'm going to give Mississippi State the win here. I think Vanderbilt will drop this one. Then I do believe they'll probably drop to Alabama as well. At Florida. I don't like this game being so late in the season for Vanderbilt. Florida, new head coach. Do they figure some things out? It's in the swamp. Who knows? I'm going to give this one to Florida. I don't like this pick, but I got to honor my Florida prediction. Yep, I got to honor my Florida prediction. Sorry, I did it. And I think this is where we're getting into these picks, Michael, where it's just kind of chaos, right? Mm-hmm. And so, but we finished the year, they're losing. They're losing to Tennessee. So I've got Vanderbilt taking a step back this year, but 7-5 in most Vanderbilt years is a solid year. With losses to Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee, which most Vanderbilt fans would say, hey, that's okay. But then losing to Auburn and Mississippi State is head scratchers. But then you look at it and be like, well, we did beat Florida. We did beat Ole Miss. That kind of offsets maybe a little bit. I don't know. But I've got Vanderbilt going 7-5. I got worst case for Vanderbilt being they lose to Florida. I think they lose to Ole Miss. I'm going to take worst case scenario for Vanderbilt as 5-7. I think that is worst case. So I think best case for them, though, is 9-3. I don't see them being better than 9-3. So that's what I got for Vanderbilt, 7-5.
7-5 for Vanderbilt. That's a lot different prediction than what we would have given them a couple years ago.
That's right. And I've got them basically beating Ole Miss, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Florida. I got them going like what? 4-5 in the SEC? Yeah. So that's good marks for Vanderbilt there. I'm very similar to you, but really,
but slightly different.
Okay, let's go.
So I'm with you. I think they start off the season 3-0. They get a win against Austin Peay. They get a win against Delaware. An NC State game is kind of a question mark. We don't know what NC State's going to have this year. Kind of like you mentioned, last I really knew about NC State was whenever Tennessee played them a couple years ago, and Tennessee trounced them in the Mayo Bowl or in the Duke's Mayo Classic early in the season. So I've got 3 wins in a row starting off the season for Vanderbilt. I'm also with you on this Auburn game. You know, kind of like we talked about last week, I feel like Auburn, this is their swing game for how the rest of their schedule is going to go. And I don't know if I could say the same about Vanderbilt. I think there's several other games a little bit later in the season that could be that swing game for Vanderbilt. So I feel like this game means a little bit more for Auburn than it does for Vanderbilt. Auburn gets the game at home. So I've got a loss for Vanderbilt in this game. Georgia, this game being on the road against Georgia, I'm with you as well. I'm very high on Georgia. I think they've just got way too much talent on this team that they're going to run away from Vanderbilt in this contest. Ole Miss, this could be a interesting spot for playing Ole Miss. You know, you could have a letdown game after playing against Georgia. You could come out with fire after playing against Georgia. I don't know. This is where I'm going to be slightly different. I've got them losing this game to Ole Miss, giving them 3 losses in a row. But I feel like they bounce back with this Arkansas game on October the 17th. They get a win there at home. And you go on the road to Kentucky. I feel like this might be the first real big swing game for Vanderbilt, because if you lose on the road to Kentucky, I feel like the rest of the schedule could really go haywire because of the opponents that you have. There's some winnable games there, but there's also some very losable games. And if you lose to Kentucky, I feel like it's kind of bad news for them going into the bye week before you start that last stretch of the season. I think that they're a little bit better than Vanderbilt as far as the position that they're in, coaching-wise, player-wise, that type of deal. So I've got a win for Vanderbilt on the road in Lexington. Mississippi State coming off a bye week. You kind of mentioned it. I don't like the matchup with Mississippi State here. And the game being on the road, I'm going to go with a loss for Vanderbilt. Jeff Lebby and his squad get a big win in this matchup. Alabama, the game is at home, but I don't think it really matters. I think Alabama is going to win this game as well. I'm sorry, put the wrong one up there. I think Alabama is going to be a very good team this year. At Florida, I don't really like the spot for this game, but something just tells me that Vanderbilt gets it done on the road. I feel like they go down to Florida, they get a win there, and it's going to be their last one of the season because Tennessee's going to come in and they're going to show that they are the state's team. I mean, it was a fluke last year for Vanderbilt. You know, best season in school history. It's not going to happen again this year. Tennessee's going to get a win. So I have got Vanderbilt going 6-6 this season. They do make a bowl game. I feel like there's some very winnable games on this schedule, though, that could have them better. But I'll start with the worst case. I'm going to go 4-8 as the worst case for this team. I feel like,
That's not a good year, man.
I feel like Kentucky could end up squeaking one out, and then probably Florida, that game being on the road. I feel like Florida could win that one as well. Florida could be a better team than what we thought as well. So I feel like 4-8 would be the floor for Vanderbilt this season. I feel like the ceiling for this team, I'm going to go one game below you, and I'm going to say 8-4 is the ceiling. Auburn is a winnable game, and Mississippi State is a winnable game.
Yep.
That Ole Miss is a big question mark. I think Ole Miss is a better team than Vanderbilt is, but you mentioned it. That's like a rivalry game there. They've played for several years. The game is always close. Anything can happen in that one, but that's a big question mark for me. So I'm going to say 8-4 is the best case for Vanderbilt this season.
Right on. Keep the predictions up. I have to make a live correction on my prediction.
Okay.
I said everything the right thing, but I put the wrong letter down on one game. And so what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to correct mine, and you're going to hate me. But I caught myself because I went back and watched the video because I was like, wait a minute. I'm not honoring one of my picks when I started writing down who was winning against who. And so I'm going to tell you, just watch the screen because you're going to see what I messed up here. Mm-hmm. But, and then I have them.
You had them beating Ole Miss.
Yep. That is my prediction for Vanderbilt.
So you also had 6-6.
I did. And I'm looking here, and I'm correcting myself. I actually had them only winning 3 SEC games this year. They're going 6-6. I've already corrected it in my books, But I got to thinking when I put wins over, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Kentucky, and I went to write Florida, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm looking at my Florida prediction. I have them winning Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. So I was like, crap. And I even said it when I was going through the schedule. I was like, I just hate that Florida or Vanderbilt's catching Florida this late in the season at Florida, because that gives Florida a chance to work out their kinks under first-year head coach. And I think Florida will get that win. So live correction. So sorry I did that. It happens all the time, unfortunately, but I did correct it this time. I'm just trying to get the clickbait out there. I'm trying to get people to. I'm joking, but I do have Vanderbilt going 6-6 this year, and that
so is your ceiling and floor still the same?
I am going to keep. Yeah, I'm going to honor my ceiling and floor, because to be honest with you, I mean, obviously they could lose to Ole Miss, and that's their 5-7. Mm-hmm. But if they lose to Ole Miss, maybe they beat Auburn. Or maybe they do beat Florida. Like, I think it's Mississippi State, for that matter. I think they're going to flip-flop. I don't see them going any worse than 5-7 this year. And I'm still going to honor the 9-3, man. What if they do pull it out against Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, or Tennessee, for that matter? Who knows? Alabama, they're kind of project. Alabama in the media-wise is kind of projected kind of the same as Tennessee this year. So they obviously have their question marks. So I don't know. I think Vanderbilt still. I'm going to honor the best and worst case being 5-7, 9-3. But I do have them going 6-6 this year. I just wanted to get that corrected before we moved on.